sufficient. Now let's talk about George Bernard Shaw. Today we are going to start another play, and that is Pygmalion. There is a whole background behind this particular play, and you might enjoy it. You might like the play because it's easier to understand, and the story is very easy. You will easily get the story as well. We'll talk about First, we'll take a look at something related to George Bernard Shaw. What kind of a writer was he? He actually won a Nobel Prize in 1925, and he has written multiple plays. Pygmalion is one of them. He's written Arms in the Man. He's written other plays as well, and he focuses on social issues. His focus has always been on social issues. I'm going to give you an introduction of George Bernard Shaw from an article, from a research article that will help you to prepare for your final term examination as well. तो मैं आपको directly I'll take you there and I'll ask you to read with me one by one. With each section, I would request you to read it with me. As you can see on your screen, it's a research article and it's written by Wen and Jen. They are from some University of Beijing. Now, research articles are usually written in a manner where you can find a abstract first and then there is an introduction. Somehow this article is written in a very convenient way for students of BS level. Now it says that this article is intended to review the play and myth and is divided into 5 parts. So there are 5 parts of this article. The first part will definitely introduce us to the playwright. Playwright kaun hota hai? The dramatist, which is George Bernard Shaw. Second part of the article looks back at the Victorian age, the background of Victorian age, which is very much relevant for this. This will make us understand that why and how Bernard Shaw wrote this way. And the third part focuses on the Pygmalion effect and the original myth. You might be thinking that why this place called Pygmalion? What is Pygmalion? So they'll clarify it for us so that we can make a connection with Greek mythology and myth as well and how it is connected to the modern day Pygmalion effect. Pygmalion effect is also a psychological concept that is widely used and accepted across the world. The fourth part is the analysis of the play. Now, it says that it is in detail, but it is not. It is just the tip of the iceberg. So, whatever we are going to study today, you need more information to fill that gap that could be there. And the fifth part is the summary of the entire thing that we'll be discussing. The first section is Bernard Shaw as a dramatist. Now, he was born to a lower middle class Protestant family. What is Protestant? Who is a Protestant person? Anybody who knows? What is Protestantism?
मैम ये भी क्रिश्चियनिटी की ही एक टाइप होती हैं।
Yes, such as we have already talked about paganism, heathenism, then there was Puritanism. All these flavors, not flavors, but shades of religion practices or religious practices were there, and Protestants were very much advanced as compared to Puritists or pagans. So he was born to this particular family and he was from lower middle class. He was born in Dublin, Ireland, so he's Irish. Then he worked as a clerk between these dates, as you can see, 71 and 76, and then he moved to London by the age of 20. So basically, his identity is Irish. And do you know anything about Irish and England conflict? What kind of conflict did they have? Was there a conflict or not? कोई प्रॉब्लम थी आयरलैंड और इंग्लैंड के बीच में या नहीं? ये वो बताएं जो सीएसएस करने वाले हैं। हम्म नहीं पता? नो आइडिया बेटे। Basically, when London and its counterparts started invading the nearby places such as Ireland, Scotland, and many other, they subjugated them to violence and marginalization as well. And Ireland and England never saw eye to eye after that. There were ethnic issues where they were, not accepting each other. Now, they would actually identify an Irishman with their looks, with the pronunciation that they would यूज जैसे आज के जमाने में भी ब्रिटिश प्रोनाउंसिएशन पे कितने मीम्स बनते हैं ना दैट इट्स टू डिफिकल्ट टू go with it. So इस तरह के problems हैं, ये societal और social issues में आ जाते हैं. Anyway, then he was going through poverty and he was frustrated as well, and he was mainly relying on his mother during this period. And then he could see that how his mother endured a lot of hardships in order to provide for him. Then next paragraph is very important, where they talk about that how he made his name in the history of English literature, how his plays have different writings, have different unique style. And definitely Shaw was a movement that could be utilized as an ethical operator. He wanted to provide information and representation of people in ethical way through his work, specifically his dramas. He was very keen, he was a keen observer, and he understood what was going on in the society, and he represented those issues, those social issues through his dramas. Furthermore, he also talked about the class system, that how there is classism and how different classes of society are subjugating the other part of the society to violence, abuse, and subjugation as well. The subject matters that these dramas highlighted were many, but we'll be focusing on equal rights for men and women, prostitution, poverty, marriage, and then there are other social subjects as well. You do understand that society only accepts you if you're highly decorated. जितना आप चमकते हैं, जितनी आपकी शाइन है, उतना आपको society accept करती है. तो उस hypocrisy के शदीद खिलाफ था Bernard Shaw, that he did not like society being such a hypocrite society that it only welcomes or accepts the hyper representation, hyper reality that people would like to present. You do understand that all of us, we have a day personality and we have a night personality as well. This is a concept given by I think it's Carl Jung. Yes, Carl Jung ने ये एक concept दिया है जिसमें he talks about that we have a public persona and then we have our inner self that we try to hide from society. That's also psychological in nature, that we want to be perceived by the society in a certain way and then we behave in a certain way as well. So he was of the view, Bernard Shaw was of the view that these things should be highlighted and people should not be hypocrites. So his plays were categorized as instructional plays as well, right? They used to be some kind of a play that would provide some kind of instruction and teaching, some guidance was there. Then there is a discussion about his dramas. He's written different dramas that you can read at your own. However, there is a comparison made with Henrik Ibsen and James Joyce in this section, where they talk about that how he was highly influenced by Henrik Ibsen. Who's Henrik Ibsen? Henrik Ibsen has written A Doll's House, and A Doll's House is also a realistic play which talks about realism and symbolic representation of women and their emancipation as well. So empowerment की, feminism की बात करता है Bernard Shaw. Just like Henrik Ibsen, Bernard Shaw is also a feminist. He's considered to be one of those writers who gave female agency a voice. What is a female agency? Where women characters are given voice to represent their desire and express their feelings, be it acceptable by the society or not. So both of these writers, both of these dramatists, they were realist and they highlighted that how women should be given enough representation in the theater, in the drama, in British literature as well, which was not the case before them. अगर आप गौर करें, the earlier dramas that we have studied, such as Oedipus Rex, Hamlet, and Dr. Faustus, there were women characters. Of course, Hamlet में तो definitely थे और Oedipus Rex में भी थे, but they were just side pieces or supporting characters. They were there, but they were not contributing as major characters. So women were not represented as such in classical literature or British literature that was produced before this time period that you can see 1890 to 1950. Then there is an important section where they talk about that the Irish influence on Bernard Shaw, because he was Irish and he had this understanding that English language and English people are not sufficient enough to represent a social issue or a different, unique issue. So he definitely wanted to utilize his understanding of Irish cultural expectations and traditions as well. Now, it is a very brave struggle which he undertook to enforce the public to reconsider its morals. अब देखिए ethical matters, moral और moral matter, heretical place की बात करता था, deliberately when ethical matters की बात करता था, जो कि otherwise अवॉइड किए जाते थे. अब आपको याद होगा कि रेनेसांस में वी टॉक्ड अबाउट मिस्ट्री प्लेज एंड मोरालिटी प्लेज एंड देन वी हैड entertainment plays as well. So mystery and morality plays because somehow he touches upon that once more. So through his artistic conscious mind, he tried to dramatize and provide social awareness to the existing society which was drifting away from ethical behaviors and traditions. Then comes the social classes in the Victorian period. I hope you know who's Karl Marx and what is Marxism. थोड़ा बहुत आपको पता होगा बेटे. Do you know what's Marxism?
यस मैम,
What is it?
इसके अंदर क्लास सिस्टम के बारे में इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया था कार्ल मार्क्स ने.
Hmm. He actually divided society into different stratas. Strata मतलब in different groups or classes. जैसे हमें भी पता है ना that there are majorly three classes, जिसे हम कहते हैं upper class, middle class and lower class या poor class कह सकते हैं. In this article they say upper class, middle class and working class. So working class was very prevalent in Victorian age. Victorian age, as Charles Dickens puts it, was the best of best and the worst of worst times. Why? Because everything was evolving, scientific invention was there, everybody was getting jobs, everybody was getting elevated somehow, everybody wanted to come to city life. सब चाहते थे कि वो सिटी में आकर बस जाएं और सब अपनी विलेज लाइफ और कंट्री लाइफ को छोड़कर ओवर पॉपुलेशन और अर्बनाइजेशन जैसे प्रॉब्लम्स को हवा दे रहे थे. तो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट आउटसोर्सिंग और ओवर सोर्सिंग या मिस यूज ऑफ सोर्सिंग or sources, natural resources, made the living condition of that particular area contaminated, and people had many diseases. They were working, yes, they were working in the factories, they were working in different industrial areas, they had more venues and revenues to generate. बहुत कुछ था, बहुत कुछ पॉजिटिव भी था, बट नेगेटिवली जो इम्पैक्ट कर रहा था वो ये था कि हेल्थ इश्यूज बहुत थे, placement issues बहुत थे. Overpopulation can definitely cause a society a lot of bad impacts could be there on a society. So that is what they're talking about, that how the upper class treated the lower classes as if they were insects or as if they did not exist whatsoever. So these underdogs, they had to struggle their way out of it in the regime of Victorian Queen Victoria or Victorian age. And then they talk about something that makes Charles Dickens comment that it was the best and the worst times of all time, that living conditions and working conditions of Victorian age was very questionable. The 19th century witnessed rapid population increase, the reason for which are not very clearly explained, but one of the reasons is that everybody was looking for job. और jobs कहाँ थी? मेन लंदन में, जहाँ पे इंडस्ट्रीज फैक्ट्रीज लगी हैं, लोगों ने अपना बिजनेस खोला है. जैसे हमारे पाकिस्तान में ही देख लें, most of the people from remote and rural areas or far flung areas, they would like to go get settled in Lahore, Islamabad, कराची और ऐसे बिग सिटीज में हर कोई अपनी रोजी रोटी कमाना चाहेगा. तो इससे क्या होता है कि एग्जॉस्ट हो जाता है. क्या सिटी लाइफ जो है वो इतना एग्जॉस्टिंग हो जाता है कि दैट कुड हैव repercussions. But some of the reasons that they've mentioned in this article is that mortality rate lowering and increase in the child survival rate. Like I told you, best of best time था तो medical जो आप कह लें medical field थी, it was definitely evolving and developing, and they were able to save the child and the mother at the same time. Before this, there were many complications and women would die in childbirth. बहुत सारी डेथ्स इसी वजह से हो जाती थी, और मदर की जब डेथ हो जाती थी तो बच्चे को पालना भी एक प्रॉब्लमैटिक पर्सपेक्टिव बन जाया करता था. सो इसको उन्होंने ओवरकम कर लिया था, तो कंडीशंस में कुछ फर्क आ गया था. The movement of the population after the industrial revolution. Industrial revolution क्या है? When industries, factories were made, scientific inventions were there, and many people got to have some jobs. Although wages पे थी और बहुत कम wages पे थी, लेकिन वो भूखे नहीं मर रहे थे. From countryside to cities, seeking jobs in factories made a great growth in population. A large number of skilled and unskilled workers went in search for jobs, though they were very lowly paid. Another consequence of this is the overcrowding of towns and city, जिसे urbanization का concept होता है बेटे, thereby resulting in the creation of slums as accommodation that had become extremely expensive for the common people to afford. Do you know what is a slum? Slum क्या होता है बेटे?
यस मैम, ये जो कॉटेजेस होती हैं, छोटे छोटे घर बने होते हैं.
इन सिंपल वर्ड्स, जो जिसको हम झुग्गी नहीं कहते, जिसे हम कहते हैं कि कहीं पे भी इलीगली हमने अपना एक हट बना लिया, अपना कॉटेज बना लिया, एक टेंट लगा लिया, एक दीवार सी खड़ी कर ली और उसको ऑक्यूपाई कर लिया. इस्लामाबाद में देर आर मेनी स्लम्स. नमल से इस्लामिक की तरफ जाए ना, नमल से इकरा यूनिवर्सिटी से इस्लामिक की तरफ जाए, एक कच्चा रास्ता आता है. यू माइट हैव सीन दैट पीपल आर लिविंग देयर. दैट इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ अ स्लम. दे आर लिविंग इन अ कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड सिचुएशन. हाउ सो? वो जो पानी है, आई हैव बिन कमिंग फ्रॉम दिस वे फॉर ऑलमोस्ट मोर देन 15 years, and 15 years ago this place was not this contaminated. The water was clean. I used to see many cattle and livestock enjoy themselves in the water. Although एक किस्म का नाला ही है, लेकिन इसमें मैंने जानवरों को, इंसानों को टाइम स्पेंड करते देखा है. बट ओवर द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम many things were dumped into this water. It's contaminated. इसमें coil है, इसमें expired दवाइयाँ, expired खाना फेंका जाता है. Now the water that is running there is not drinkable. And if an animal or a human for that matter drinks it, आपको पता है ना, चलता पानी जो होता है, चलता पानी नहीं, आई मीन टू से बहता पानी जो होता है, that's something that you can definitely कंज्यूम. लेकिन वो इतना कंटामिनेट हो गया है कि अब बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. यहाँ पे डस्ट बहुत है, और यहाँ पर वो जो कोल सी होती है, वो जो ब्लैक कलर की एक मशीनरी सी है, वो भी उन्होंने बना रखी है. और उस सारे एटमॉस्फेयर में ये जो बच्चे और ये जो घर वाले ये सब रहते हैं, इस स्लम में जो रहते हैं, उनका पूरा एनवायरनमेंट जो है वो बहुत ज्यादा कंटेमिनेटेड है, एंड दे माइट फॉल सिक. और विक्टोरियन एज में बहुत लोग बहुत बीमार थे. मेनी पोएट्स, राइटर्स, दे डाइड बिकॉज ऑफ दीज प्रॉब्लम्स. कैंसर वाज प्रेवलेंट, रेस्पिरेटरी इन्फेक्शंस वर देयर, सांस लेने वाली जो बीमारियां थी वो बहुत सारी सारी. लिविंग कंडीशंस बहुत बुरी हो गई थी. अब रही बात ये, जो मैंने जिस स्लम को एक आपको रेफरेंस दिया है, ऐसा नहीं है कि ये स्लम किसी को पैसा नहीं देता होगा. अगर जो अथॉरिटी, रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी है, जो भी इस्लामाबाद की, आई थिंक दैट्स CDA, अगर वो चाहे तो वो किसी भी वक्त आके इस ऑक्यूपेशन रेजिडेंशियल एरिया को, ये जो इन्होंने स्लम बना रखा है, इसको डिमोलिश कर सकता है. लेकिन कोई ना कोई इससे, इनसे पैसा जरूर लेता है, प्रोटेक्शन जरूर प्रोवाइड करता है. अदरवाइज यू कैन नॉट लिव अंडर दी, ये क्या है, ट्रेन की पटरी के नीचे यहाँ पर रहना बिल्कुल सख्ती से मना होता है. तो ये इलीगली ऑक्यूपाइड है. अब जब सब लोग शहर आ गए, तो उन्होंने इसी तरह से जो कोना मिला उन्होंने वो ऑक्यूपाई कर लिया, और कहीं ना कहीं किसी ना किसी को पेमेंट वो कर रहे थे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई लिव इन एन एरिया वेयर देर आर मेनी कॉटेजेस एंड झुग्गीज दैट पीपल हैव मेड अराउंड द नाला. ठीक है, उस नाले के इर्द गिर्द बहुत सारे घर लोगों ने बना रखे हैं. अगेन, CDA नोज, वी नो, एवरीबडी नोज. उनको बिजली, पानी, प्रोटेक्शन और बहुत कुछ प्रोवाइड करता है, मोहल्ला ही प्रोवाइड करता है. लेकिन इन रिटर्न उनसे भी सर्विसेज ली जाती है. उनके बहुत सारे बच्चे लोगों के घरों में काम करते हैं. देर आर मेनी थिंग्स दैट आर इन्वॉल्व इन टू इट. somehow affordability का इशू आ गया था. ठीक है, in this era, now this era is Victorian age, living conditions varied from one class to another. There was extreme social inequality and industrialization that caused rapid changes in everyday life for the entire classes. अब जो स्पेसिफिकली जो सबसे ज्यादा पिसता है ना किसी भी सोसाइटी में, कोई भी क्लास ले लें, तो वो मिडिल क्लास होती है. दे आर द फ्लैग बेयरर. they have to take forward the burden of being nice, ethical, religious and moral. Lower classes, उनका सर्वाइवल का इंस्टिंक्ट इतना हाइटेंड होता है that they wouldn't care about religion and etc. Not that it's not over generalization, that's what the articles and the studies they have proven कि जब आपके पेट में खाना नहीं है तो आपको सोसाइटी, रिलीजन, प्यार, मोहब्बत, इंसानियत, बहुत सारी चीजें बाहर चली जाती हैं बिकॉज यू आर ओनली लुकिंग फॉर दैट पीस ऑफ रोटी दैट यू वांट इन योर स्टमक सो बैडली. ऑन द अदर हैंड, इसके कॉन्ट्रेरी, दूसरी एक्सट्रीम पे चले जाएं, जो एलीट क्लास है, उनको जरूरत ही नहीं है टू शो केस के उन्हें ये करना है, उन्हें वो करना है, क्योंकि दे आर बियॉन्ड, अबव एंड बियॉन्ड, बिकॉज दे हैव मनी एंड पावर. It's the middle class who goes through a lot of problematic hardships. However, industrial area में, और स्पेसिफिकली विक्टोरियन एज में, लाइक आई टोल्ड यू, इंडस्ट्रीज एंड फैक्ट्रीज बहुत कॉमन थी. तो बहुत सारी चिमनी स्वीपर्स होते थे. डू यू नो व्हाट्स अ चिमनी? चिमनी पता है बेटे क्या होती है? नहीं. देखिए, कोई भी
किचन जो किचन में एग्जॉस्ट होता है।
हाँ, यस, किचन में भी जो एग्जॉस्ट चल रहा होता है, एक काइंड ऑफ अ चिमनी इज देयर. जैसे मेरे रूम में हीटर के लिए एक स्पेसिफिक जगह सी बना रखी है, और उसके ऊपर एक ऐसा सिस्टम है कि जो हीटर से गर्म हवा निकलती है वो सीधा बाहर जाती है घर से, राइट? सो जो इंडस्ट्रीज थी, अब तो हमारे पास जो फैक्ट्रीज है ना, वो बहुत एडवांस्ड हैं. वो सेल्फ क्लीनिंग भी है, उनके पास रोबोट्स भी हैं, बहुत कुछ है ना कि खुद ही साफ हो जाती है. लेकिन एट दैट टाइम जब ये नया नया स्टार्ट हुआ था, they couldn't go, a full developed adult man or a woman could not go into the chimneys to clean it. अब चिमनीज में क्या था कि जो भट्टी चलती है या फैक्ट्रीज में कुछ भी जलता है, कोई भी गैस है, कोई भी ग्रीस या कोई भी ऑयल किस्म, जो भी चीजें उन्होंने जलानी, पकानी या जो भी करना होता है, तो उसका जो भी वेस्ट मटेरियल है जो हवा से निकलना होता है, वो इन चिमनीज में it used to stick to the chimneys. Now, chimneys had to be cleaned. And who used to clean these chimneys? These were the children aged between 5 to 12, because they were short, because they were लाइट वेटेड, तो उन्हें ऊपर पहुंचाना आसान था, और वो इन्हीं चिमनीज में सो जाया करते थे, यही खाते थे, इसी में सांस लेते थे. ग्लव का कोई सिस्टम नहीं था, कोई मास्क नहीं था, तो वो एक कंटामिनेटेड और बहुत ही हैजरडियस किस्म की एनवायरनमेंट में रहते थे. ड्यू टू दिस, these people, these children were supposed to take care of their families, and that was the only way they could make money for their family. तो चाइल्ड लेबर का जो एक कॉन्सेप्ट है, ये बहुत ज्यादा प्रेवलेंट था इन विक्टोरियन एज. जैसे इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में चाइल्ड लेबर बहुत ज्यादा है. यू माइट हैव सीन इट योर सेल्फ दैट बहुत छोटे छोटे बच्चे जो है वो ये मैकेनिक वाली दुकानों में, होटल्स में, बस स्टॉप्स पे और ऐसी बहुत सारी जगहों पे बहुत छोटे बच्चे काम कर रहे हो. तो चाइल्ड लेबर एक बहुत ज्यादा प्रेविलेंट किस्म का, एक हार्श कंडीशन में काम करने वाला एक हिसाब था. हमारे जो रिमोट एरियाज हैं या रूरल एरियाज हैं, वहां पे तो स्लेवरी भी चलती है अभी तक. आपको पता है कि अगर बाप ने कोई कर्जा लिया है, तो जो उसका मालिक है जिससे कर्जा लिया है, वो 10-10, 12-12, 25-25 साल उसके बच्चों को जंजीरों में बांध के रख के उससे स्लेवरी यानी उससे काम कराएगा. ऐसा भी होता है, अभी भी होता है. तो चाइल्ड लेबर वॉज वेरी प्रेवलेंट इन विक्टोरियन एज एज वेल. चिल्ड्रन वर, अब ये उसी की एक्सप्लेनेशन लिखी हुई, आई वुड लाइक टू रीड इट फॉर यू. Children were expected to support their families. They are made to work in dangerous places. Some novelists and social commentators spoke about the rapid change and effects of industrial revolution on the Victorian classes in their living conditions. That is to say, each effect that predates the stances of regular living would eventually raise the question of which direction the country is heading for. अच्छा, ये जो कह रहे हैं ना सम नॉवेलिस्ट, इसमें जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट नॉवेलिस्ट जो है आपके लिए वो है चार्ल्स डिकेंस, और उसने बहुत सारे नॉवेल्स लिखे हैं विच आर बेस्ड ऑन चिल्ड्रन. वन इज डेविड कॉपरफील्ड, द अदर वन इज द टेल ऑफ टू सिटीज. उसमें वो सारी लाइक शुरू में हमें पता चला ना कि जॉर्ज बर्नार्ड शॉ भी लोअर मिडिल क्लास से था. इसी तरह से हमारे पास चार्ल्स डिकेंस ने ये सारा कुछ देखा, एंड ही वाज वेरी सेंसिटिव एंड ही रोट अबाउट ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल incidents and events of his life, and he represented that how children were living in compromised positions. ना सिर्फ उनको ऐसी डेंजरस जगहों पे काम करना पड़ता था, उसके अलावा सेक्सुअली असॉल्ट भी बहुत कॉमनली किया जाता था. देयर वर मेनी मदरलेस एंड फादरलेस चिल्ड्रन रोमिंग अराउंड. बहुत सारे बच्चे थे क्योंकि प्रोस्टिट्यूशन बहुत सारी थी, तो इलिजिमेट चिल्ड्रन और यतीम मस्कीन बच्चे बहुत सारे थे. अब इन बच्चों को कौन ले जाता था? कोई भी पैसे वाला आदमी जिसके पास कोई शेल्टर है वो उन्हें पालेगा, बड़ा करेगा और उनको फिर मांगने पे, कामों पे लगाएगा, यानी उनका मास्टर बन जाएगा कि आज तुमने 25 रुपए की दिहाड़ी करके आनी है तो वो दिहाड़ी करके वापस ला कर देगा। तो इस तरह की कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड किस्म की सिचुएशंस में रहा करते थे, और बहुत बच्चों के साथ बहुत बुरा हुआ इस पर्टिकुलर एज में। Now, this was something that I wanted to share with you about the background of the entire Victorian age and how George Bernard Shaw was affected by it, and how he realistically would like to represent every social issue that he could find in the society. जब इस तरह के social issues होते हैं तो class system, hypocrisy, fakeness बहुत common हो जाती है. People start accepting people with fake and more visible विजिबिलिटी. देखिए हमारी सोसाइटी में भी ऐसा ही होता है कि जो जितना बोलता है, जितना बढ़ चढ़ के बोलता है, जितना दिखता है हम समझते हैं उतना ही वो ज्यादा काम करता है. ऐसा नहीं होता. पीपल आर वेरी फेक, वेरी हिपोक्रिटिकल, एंड अगर रियलिस्टिक एनालिसिस किया जाए तो जितना बिजी दिखता है वो उतना फारिग होता है, उतना ही वो काम नहीं कर रहा होता है. ठीक है, तो ये सारी चीजें जो है ये इसने भी नोट की, ये सोशल इश्यूज में वो ले आता है और उसको नोट करता है. नाउ गोइंग फॉरवर्ड टू पिग्मेलियन इफेक्ट, ही टॉक्स अबाउट that why this play is called Pygmalion. किसी को पता तो नहीं है कि Pygmalion क्या है? Anybody who knows? नहीं पता?
ये एक मैम एक माइथोलॉजिकल कॉन्सेप्ट है आई थिंक.
Yes, it's from Greek mythology. That's correct.
Where the person fell in love with some woman or something like that, ma'am. I have studied months before.
Okay, that's correct. That's almost correct. So in Greek mythology, Pygmalion is a king of Cyprus, and he is disgusted by the ferality and characterlessness of women of his age, and he does not want to be with a woman because he finds women to be very very weak. वो समझता है कि जो खवातीन है उनका कोई करेक्टर नहीं है, पर्सनालिटी नहीं, क्योंकि उन्हें आसानी से इम्प्रेस किया जा सकता है, और उसने इतनी सारी प्रोस्टिट्यूशन देख ली थी कि वो ही वॉज नॉट हैप्पी. सो ही vowed to himself to remain celibate, which means he vowed himself with himself that he will never have a wife, or he will never make a connection, a physical relationship with the woman, and he will practice celibacy. Eventually, because he's an artist and he's a sculptor as well, what he does is that he makes a statue and he falls in love with that statue. He calls that statue my ivory girl. Okay, and he used to fondle it, he used to kiss it, he used to touch it inappropriately, almost as if he just made a girlfriend for himself. Now what happens that he has fallen in love with this statue, and then one day he goes to goddess Aphrodite. जो गॉडेस है ना एफ्रोडाइट, ये भी ग्रीक मिथोलॉजी से है. शी इज द गॉडेस ऑफ ब्यूटी एंड फर्टिलिटी. ही गोज टू दिस गॉडेस एंड ही whispers and wishes that my ivory girl should come to life, and I would like to live with her. अब देखिए ये भी एक मेल में मिसोजिनिस्ट किस्म का, मेल गेज या मेल पर्सपेक्टिव किस्म का एक आइडिया है कि उसको जो जिंदा औरतें थी उसमें कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं था, क्योंकि वो उसके मेयार पर नहीं उतर रही थी, तो उसने एक स्टैचू बनाया और फिर जाके गॉडेस से कहा कि इसको इंसान बना दो. एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट the goddess actually sanctions his wish, and then this ivory girl, this statue, comes to life. Once जब वो एफ्रोडाइट से मिलके वापस जाता है, he goes and kisses the statue once again, and he could feel that the statue is warm now. He could feel its lips, and he was very happy and um, क्या कह सकते हैं, excited at the same time. He got married to this statue, and the moment he got married to the statue, he was very happy. And then he had a daughter as well who was called, I think, Paphos. कहीं पे लिखा होगा, पढ़ सकते हैं. ठीक है. Now, why and how is it related to what we are going to study? This is something important. अब आपको आई होप ये मिथ समझ आ गई है कि एक किंग था और उसने ये सब कुछ किया, और इस मिथ से रिप्रेजेंटेटिव होकर या रिप्रेजेंटेटिव वर्ड लिया है किसने? जॉर्ज बर्नार्ड शॉ ने. दैट आल्सो टेल्स अस दैट जॉर्ज बर्नार्ड शॉ इज वेल रेड, वेल वर्स्ड, और उसने ग्रीक मिथोलॉजी भी पढ़ रखी है. नाउ इन जॉर्ज
Ma'am,
बर्नार्ड जी.
ma'am, we have started this lecture with the introduction background of Victorian age, and then now we just jumped on a king, and then I don't understand like why we studied about the Victorian age. and how it relates to this Bernard Shaw's play.
Because Bernard Shaw is a Victorian writer, bete. It's his era. He wrote in English for the representation of English people. That is what I've been telling you for the past 1 hour, right? And why Pygmalion is being mentioned? This is the point where I was going to clarify it for you that George Bernard Shaw understood Pygmalion, this myth, ancient mythology, and then he took reference or influence from this particular mythology. How? That is what I was going to read in George Bernard Shaw's play Pygmalion, a modern variant of them. अब क्योंकि जॉर्ज बर्नार्ड शॉ द मॉडर्न एज से है तो उसी का एक वेरिएंट वो यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट करता है where he presents Eliza Doolittle as a metaphorically represented flower girl who's brought to life just like Pygmalion ने अपनी आइवरी गर्ल को जिंदगी दी थी इसी तरह से प्रोफेसर हिगिंस इन द स्टोरी अब ये अलाइजा और प्रोफेसर हिगिंस कौन है दे आर पार्ट ऑफ द ड्रामा दैट वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी टुडे ठीक है ड्रामे की आपको छोटी सी मैं स्टोरी बता देती हूँ इन फ्यू लाइंस सो दैट यू नो इट्स अबाउट अ फ्लावर गर्ल whose name is Eliza Doolittle. She actually sells flowers in the streets and she's very picky and she's very lively as well. She learns fast and she can mimic as well. In the middle of the way, Professor Higgins is able to witness. Professor Higgins kaun hai? He's a professor of phonetics and phonology who's been reading and studying प्रोनाउंसिएशन आर्टिकुलेशन और फोनेटिक्स एंड फोनोलॉजी में जितने कॉन्सेप्ट्स होते हैं वो उनको उन पर एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन कर रहा है तो जब ही कम्स अक्रॉस Eliza Doolittle he asks her that he would like to conduct a experiment on her and she agrees experiment kya hai that he will teach Eliza Doolittle English pronunciation and then he will change her attire and then make her speak like an elite class girl. She's a street girl. She comes from poor class. But Professor Higgins would like to change the concept कि जो जिस सोसाइटी में पैदा होता है जिस लेवल ऑफ क्लास में पैदा होता है वो दूसरे क्लास में नहीं जाता है दिस इज हिपोक्रेसी जो सोशल सिचुएशन में बहुत कॉमन है सो दिस इज व्हाट ही डज ही brings Eliza Doolittle, who's from the poor classes, to the elite classes, and he metaphorically brings her to life, just like Pygmalion brought the ivory girl, the statue, to life with the help of mythology and other goddesses. तो इसकी adaptation, इसका जो background है वो Pygmalion effect है. ये तो Greek mythology होगी. इसके अलावा Pygmalion effect is also a psychological concept. It's also a psychological phenomena which has been given by Rosnenthal effect, or his name was Robert Rosnenthal. That's why it's called Rosnenthal effect as well. What is Pygmalion effect in psychology? It's a psychological phenomena in which high expectations lead to improved performance in given area and low expectations leads to worse. जैसे हम नहीं कहते कि अगर हम नेगेटिव सोचेंगे तो आउटकम नेगेटिव ही होगा अगर हम पहले ही मान लें दैट हम ये नहीं कर सकते इफ मैं पहले ही सोच लूं दैट आई वोंट बी एबल टू डू दिस टास्क देयर इज अ 90% चांस दैट आई वोंट बी एबल टू डू सो तो जैसे हम बड़े भी सिखाते हैं कि अच्छा सोचो तो अच्छा आउटकम होगा तो वही पिग्मेलियन इफेक्ट की यहाँ पे बात हो रही है अदर देन दिस the connection between a teacher and a student is also prevalent in this drama because Eliza Doolittle is a student to Professor Higgins, an experimental student of course, मगर इसकी भी बात की जाएगी importance of education की भी बात की जाएगी. According to Pygmalion effect, the targets of expectations internalize their positive labels and those with positive labels succeed accordingly. A similar process works in the opposite direction in case of low expectation. जैसे मैंने आपको अभी बताया अच्छा सोचेंगे अच्छा होगा नहीं सोचेंगे तो नहीं होगा that is Pygmalion effect for you. ठीक है so till this point we have talked about George Bernard Shaw as a dramatist and how he has got influence from Henrik Ibsen and his Irish tradition. Other than that, we talked about why would he call his play Pygmalion because there is a reference to Greek mythology and a psychological conditioning as well. And among these discussions, we also talked about Victorian age. Why did we talk about Victorian age? Because this represents the society that is going to be represented in the drama itself. Which drama? Pygmalion. ठीक है? Now Pygmalion as a social play. अब ये जो है ये सिर्फ tip of the iceberg है. ठीक है, ये एक टॉपिक है, इसको एक्सपैंड आपने करना है। मैं आपको सिर्फ ऊपर से बता सकती हूँ कि अंदर क्या हो रहा है। देन क्लास स्ट्रगल इज देयर। ये सारे मार्क्सिस्ट किस्म के आप कह लें कि पॉइंट ऑफ व्यूज है। सोशल वैल्यूज, एंड देन यूल हैव आइडेंटिटी वर्सेस और आइडेंटिटी एंड अपेरेंस। तो इसका एनालिसिस इसमें हुआ हुआ है, बहुत ही अच्छे से हुआ हुआ है, लेकिन इसमें टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस आपने खुद ऐड करना है। नाउ क्विकली आई वुड लाइक टू गिव यू समरी। एक तो समरी मैंने आपको बताई कुछ लाइंस में, सो दैट यू कैन मेक कनेक्शन विद विक्टोरियन एज एंड पिग्मेलियन इफेक्ट एंड जॉर्ज बर्नार्ड शॉ एज वेल. Now we would look at a video that will tell us act-wise summary. There are 5 acts in this particular drama, and those 5 acts are based on a plot as well. It does have a plot. It's not like Waiting for Godot. It's different. Waiting for Godot में हमारे पास traditional plot नहीं है, पर इसमें है. So we'll take a look at traditional plot diagram of this drama as well. ठीक है? Let me attach the video so that quickly we can finish it. Okay, again ये बात मैं आपको बता चुकी हूँ, but this will be a plot summary for you for your understanding, so that once we go back to the Marxist analysis of this particular drama, you can follow clearly. ठीक है? It's an animated representation of the same drama, that is Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. Could you please confirm that it's visible and audible to you? Yes? आवाज आ रही बेटे?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
In the introduction of the play Pygmalion, a sudden downpour has pedestrians in Covent Garden sprinting for shelter or taxis. Beneath the portico of St. Paul's Church, a young Cockney flower girl, an older gentleman, and a man taking notes on the flower girl's speech are gathered. In the rising action, it becomes clear that the note-taking man is only interested in phonetically noting the flower girl's curbstone English. He boasts that he could teach her to speak like a duchess in 3 months. It turns out that he is the famous phonetician Henry Higgins. The elderly gentleman is Colonel Pickering, an admirer and fellow speech expert. Higgins invites Pickering to come around the next day to his home on Wimpole Street. The next morning, the flower girl, Eliza Doolittle, boldly shows up at Higgins's home, where she offers to pay him to teach her to talk more genteel. Pickering, who is present, says he will cover all expenses if, in 6 months, Higgins can pass Eliza off as a lady. Higgins accepts the bet and begins tutoring Eliza in speech and manners. Months later, Higgins takes Eliza on a surprise visit to his mother, an intelligent and dignified lady. It's a test of her newly learned skills. Eliza now looks and acts the part of a fine lady, but her vocabulary and unfortunate choice of topics gives away her humble beginnings. With some difficulty, Higgins covers her gaffes, while Freddie is smitten with Eliza.
Unwrap the perfect corn.
Is a marginal success. Later, Mrs. Higgins scolds her son and Pickering both for treating Eliza like a doll, especially for not considering what will happen to Eliza when the experiment is over. Months later, after Eliza has honed her skills, Higgins and Pickering put Eliza's talents to the test, and she performs flawlessly. Back at the Wimpole Street laboratory, Higgins and Pickering congratulate themselves on their victory. With no thought of Eliza, they dismissively proclaim the experiment over. Higgins starts upstairs, but then returns to get his slippers and finds Eliza weeping with rage. In the play's climax, Eliza is enraged by Higgins' insensitivity. She won his bet for him, and now she thinks that he will toss her back into the gutter. The stormy scene ends with Higgins slamming the door and leaving. In the falling action, Higgins learns Eliza is, in fact, staying with his mother, who defends Eliza's choice to leave him and Pickering. A calm, composed Eliza comes downstairs and greets the men, thanking Pickering for treating her with respect from the very beginning. But she says she no longer needs Higgins, and she will not come back. Higgins accuses her of ingratitude, but still holds out hopes for her return. In the resolution, Eliza leaves. Higgins remains unsure about whether or not she is gone for good. There are 7 central characters in the play Pygmalion. Higgins is an authority on phonetics, described as a robust, vital, appetizing sort of man of 40 or thereabouts, and is an energetic, scientific type. He is also careless about people's feelings. This trait becomes most evident in his treatment of Eliza, whom he transforms from a flower girl into an upper-class lady. His inability to see and treat Eliza as anything more than an experiment forces her to take a stand for independence and self-respect. While Higgins remains fundamentally unchanged by the end of the play, he gains a new perspective on Eliza and views her with respect. Eliza Doolittle, also called Liza, is introduced as a dirty, shabbily dressed flower girl in need of a dentist. Her Cockney accent places her in London's lower class, yet her intelligence and ambition allow her to aspire to something finer. In Higgins' laboratory, she is transformed into a lady who can pass for a duchess. Her real transformation comes with being treated like a lady and gaining self-respect. Colonel Pickering is the author of spoken Sanskrit and is a master of Indian dialects. He is an elderly gentleman of the amiable military type, and throughout the play, he demonstrates a generous and courteous nature. He's kind to Eliza as she changes from a flower girl to a lady. Doolittle is described as an elderly but vigorous dustman. A happy member of the undeserving poor, he recklessly spends money he borrows from others. He has no morals at all and is willing to turn his daughter over to Higgins, no questions asked, for £5. Mrs. Higgins is a gracious member of the upper class. Her affection for Higgins does not shield her from irritation at his lack of manners, and she is adept at putting him in his place. Intelligent and perceptive, she soon discerns the problems that her son's experiment will cause for Eliza. Freddie is a young man and a member of the upper class, good-natured though somewhat weak, and a true gentleman. He is infatuated with Eliza. At the end of the play, Eliza suggests that she might marry Freddie, though he has no money to support them both and may seem unfit for work. But he is devoted to her, unlike Higgins, and he won't try to make her something that she is not. Mrs. Pierce is Higgins's housekeeper. She has a strong sense of propriety and takes it upon herself to be sure that Eliza is cared for properly while in the house. A bond between Eliza and Mrs. Pierce grows, and Mrs. Pierce frequently pushes Higgins to show consideration for Eliza and to think about Eliza's future. The flower shop, clothing, and the mirror are symbols in Pygmalion. The flower shop represents the dream that drives Eliza to Higgins's laboratory. After all, the shop won't hire Eliza unless she is able to, as she puts it, talk more genteel. It is a dream for which she is willing to transform herself. By the end of the play, Eliza has developed the manners and habits that disqualify a fine lady from earning her own living. Though Higgins reminds her about her dream of working in a florist shop, Eliza may have outgrown that particular dream and will have to rethink her future. Clothing reflects the social status of characters. For example, Higgins's slippers represent his class as well as his disregard for Eliza. As a symbol, clothing represents Eliza's metamorphosis from flower girl to lady, and Doolittle's rise from dustman to gentleman. Eliza's father in particular illustrates the notion that a change of clothing may alter other people's perceptions. When he makes an entrance in Act 2, clad in the costume of his profession, he is happy and proud to be one of the undeserving poor. By Act 5, his unlooked-for rise in wealth is apparent when he arrives at the home of Mrs. Higgins, wearing a fashionable frock coat with white waistcoat and gray trousers, dazzling silk hat, and patent leather shoes. He appears every inch a gentleman and is announced as such by the parlor maid. However, his new look is misleading. While his social standing has risen, his only gentlemanly attributes are those that have been forced upon him as middle-class morality claims its victim. In Act 2, Eliza is shocked to find a mirror in her new bathroom. She doesn't know which way to look, and finally hangs a towel over it. This represents the moment when Eliza unguardedly sees herself as she is, dirty, disheveled, and far from ladylike in her personal habits. Cloaked in a blue cotton kimono, she emerges looking like a dainty and exquisitely clean young Japanese lady. Eliza's glimpse in the mirror reveals to her the need for a change, and the results of taking a bath prove that change is possible. Thus, the mirror symbolizes self-awareness and identity. Language is a class barrier. Transformation, appearance and identity, and femininity are the themes of Pygmalion. Through the character of Higgins, George Bernard Shaw reminds the audience that articulate speech is a divine gift, and the eloquent words of Shakespeare, Milton, and the Bible form the basis of their native tongue. Shaw emphasizes the hierarchy of English society through characters from different socioeconomic levels. Eliza, with her Cockney dialect, is associated with the lowest social rank, whereas Higgins and Pickering represent the elite. The power of language to break through social barriers is fully realized in Eliza's transformation. Yet she can speak nothing but Higgins' language, which cuts her off from her former life. Overall, the test is a marginal success. Later, Mrs. Higgins, all three facets of Eliza's transformation, sight, serve as indicators of social class. Yet these signs are superficial. Victorian values strictly define the status and functions for women and established firm boundaries for femininity among social classes. In Pygmalion, Shaw illustrates these class boundaries and roles through various characters, especially Eliza, a member of the working class poor, Mrs. Pierce, Higgins' housekeeper, and Mrs. Higgins, an upper-class lady of some wealth who has raised a family and keeps a home. Shaw aims to show in Pygmalion that such boundaries, with their fixed roles and definitions of femininity, are artificial. Shaw envisions a new ideal in Pygmalion, a free-spirited, educated, self-reliant, and career-minded woman.
All right, so the rest of the motifs can be, watched by your own self. So you had an introduction to the play once again, then symbols and thematic landscape was there. Some of the themes were highlighted. I hope now you can definitely understand that how Eliza Doolittle represents a Victorian woman and her clothing. The moment she was a street girl, she was not acknowledged, and the moment she is in a lady dress, she becomes the lady of the society. That is the identity formation process. Now, George Bernard Shaw, being a social critic, wants to critique that how come a woman just changes the way she speaks and clothes, becomes part of elite class. That is the hypocrisy and the dual standard of a society that he was against. And that is very true for ourselves as well. We only like and appreciate people who are shiny and who are dressed up well and everything. We only respect people with money and power. Is that correct in your case as well? Do you only respect people because of their designation, looks and कपड़े and पैसे, और otherwise भी आप लोगों की respect करते हैं कि नहीं करते?
करते हैं मैम.
करते हैं? Okay, if you say so. But in my experience, I've seen that we have I mean, psychologically कह लें, knowingly, unknowingly कह लें, that we do have a tendency of being a little politer to people who are being unreasonable in front of us. अगर उनके पास पैसा है और वो unreasonable भी हो रहे हैं तो हम उसे समझाने की कोशिश करेंगे, लेकिन अगर उनके पास पैसा नहीं है और वो अनरीजनेबल हो रहे हैं तो हम नेक्स्ट लेवल उसको समझाने का हर हत्तमंगेज किस्म का हरबा अपना लेते हैं. तो दैट डज हैव something to say with the money priorities. Another example could be कि घर में जो बच्चा पैसे कमाता है उसकी सुनी जाती है, जो नहीं कमाता है उसकी नहीं सुनी जाती है. The money matters, no matter how do you want to put it in different ways. The money, the looks, the everything, आपकी जो रिस्पेक्ट है, जो प्रेस्टीज है, somehow आपके पैसे और पावर से कहीं ना कहीं किसी लेवल पर वो अटैच्ड है. और यही बात वो हाईलाइट कर रहा है कौन? जॉर्ज बर्नार्ड शॉ. Now going back to another research article which you're going to read at your own because it's very easy. It's the same thing that we have been discussing since 4:45. तो ये आपने पढ़ लेना है. This will make you understand that how Eliza Doolittle's character is representing her class struggle and an entire class struggle, along with how identity is formed based on your social class. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर वो आपको बताएंगे थोड़ा सा अगेन जॉर्ज बर्नार्ड शॉ और विक्टोरियन एज के बारे में बता रहे, एंड देन दे आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द class struggle and class segregation, upper class, middle class and lower class, and then they give you a Marxist view. Now this is important. Marxists believe that literature has a direct relationship to reality. Every story reveals something about the world and the author's political stance. To ascertain what that is the aim of the Marxist critic. They therefore saw literature as a byproduct of economic and ideological factors unique to that particular time period, rather than a work produced in accordance with everlasting artistic standards. They hold that every area of life is influenced by the social and economic conditions, and that's true. As a result, it is the extrinsic approach to literature that enables us to understand the historical context of age while the work is produced. ये वही बात है कि आर्ट फॉर आर्ट से पढ़ें या आर्ट फॉर इंफॉर्मेशन से पढ़ें. जब आप बैकग्राउंड नॉलेज को एरा को अटैच करते हैं फॉर द एनालिसिस ऑफ एनी लिटरेरी पीस, देन यू टॉक अबाउट दीज थिंग्स. देन रिलेटेड स्टडीज हैं वो आप खुद पढ़ सकते हैं. जी बेटे.
Ma'am, how can, like, there was a line and it was mentioned in the line which you have just shown us, where it was mentioned like literature is a byproduct of an economic factor. So I didn't understand how it could be.
What is literature?
Reflection of society.
Right. And what is this reflection? What does it represent? The real, natural and symbolic representation of what is happening around us. ठीक है, poverty ले लें, prostitution ले लें, class segregation ले लें, class struggle ले लें, identity crisis ले लें. अब देखिए, what is your identity? You're a student, you're a daughter, you might be an aunt to your आपके nephews होंगे, nieces होंगे, you could be married even. तो ये आपकी सारी different किस्म की hats हैं that you wear in life. But societal level पे you definitely have a role to play. अब वो रोल कैसे डिसाइड होता है कि आप वो रोल कैसे कहेंगे? वो सोसाइटी आपके लिए डिसाइड करती है. कैसे? ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ योर सोशो इकोनॉमिक बैकग्राउंड, कि आप सोसाइटी में मॉनेटरी लेवल पे, फाइनेंशियल लेवल पर कहाँ है, वो डिसाइड करेगा कि आपको किस लेवल की एक्सेप्टेंस और रिजेक्शन सोसाइटी देगी. दैट इज व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू से. उसी की तरफ मैं आ रही थी. यहाँ पर आगे पढ़े तो एक्सप्लेनेशन भी उसने दी हुई है कि इस अप्रोच की वजह से हाउ लोअर क्लासेस आर सब्जुकेटेड टू suppression and how there is superiority complex among upper classes that lower classes have to struggle in the hands of it. And same goes in the drama as well, that Eliza Doolittle, although she's an experiment for Professor Higgins, but Professor Higgins end में क्या करता है? जब उसका experiment हो जाता है तो आप कहते हैं जाओ अपनी पुरानी जिंदगी में वापस चली जाओ. He becomes insensitive. That insensitivity represents the upper class, that the upper class does not care about what the lower class person could feel, what it could do to their personality. अब देखिए Eliza को कितना बुरा feel हुआ, and she cried as well, that all of a sudden Professor Higgins told her that she can go back to the place she came from, and he did not give her any regard. आपने उसके साथ एक experiment किया, उस experiment में आप successful हुए because she participated. Now she should get the at least some level of respect and acceptance, but she doesn't get that. Why? Because elite class does not think that way. The elite class always thinks about their progress, their development, their benefit. तो ये जो दो करेक्टर है ना मेजर, जैसे कि एलाइजा डूलिटल एंड प्रोफेसर हिगिंस, they are the binaries, they are the metaphorical representation of elite class versus the lower class. So that's your Marxist approach that is being shown in the drama as well. अब यहाँ पर एक टेक्सचुअल एविडेंस के साथ आपको एनालिसिस, हाँ ये देखें. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अब यहाँ से अगर हम पढ़ें, in a class-based society, it is considered as a crime if a person from lower class speaks to someone from upper class. ये बहुत एक्सट्रीम बात है, मगर ऐसा है भी हमारे में. अगर हमारे माशरे में बेटे सेक्रेटेरियनिज्म है, जिसे कहते हैं फिरका वरानियत है, तो उनके माशरे में रेसिज्म है. हमारे माशरे में ये बहुत कॉमन है कि ये शिया सुन्नी वाला जो मसला बहुत क्रिएट किया जाता है, डिफरेंट एथनिसिटी और कल्चरल बैकग्राउंड्स की वजह से कितना प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट किया जाता है. लोग एक दूसरे को ब्लेम गेम खेलते हैं. ये जो कोयटा और पंजाब में ये सब कुछ होता रहता है, पठान वर्सेस पंजाब एंड ऑल, ये सब सेग्रीगेशंस हैं. ये सेग्रीगेशंस किस पर बेसिस पे बन रही हैं? इसमें मनी भी इन्वॉल्व है, इसमें यस अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ डिफरेंट एथनिसिटीज भी इन्वॉल्व है, इसमें अपॉर्चुनिटी भी इन्वॉल्व है. तो लोअर क्लासेस से जो लोग हैं वही मरमरा रहे हैं. आपने कभी देखा है कोई अपर क्लास से कोई मर गया हो या उसको कोई गोली मार गया हो? वेरी अनलाइकली. हजारों में से एक आधा केस होगा जो पैसे वाला हो और उसके साथ ऐसा कुछ हो जाए. इन सारे मसाइल को हैंडल कौन करता है, फेस कौन करता है? आइदर मिडिल क्लासेस or lower classes, and these middle and lower classes are always at the mercy of upper classes. That is the point that this drama is trying to showcase. Okay, the same is shown in the case of Eliza Doolittle when she speaks to the gentleman Colonel Pickering and asks him to buy flowers from her. The bystander, representing the common man opinion in a class-based society, warns her that someone is noticing her action. वो आपको शुरुआत में सीन ये याद है कि जिस तरह अब मैं अगर फ्लावर्स बेचती हूँ तो मेरे जो प्रोबेबल ग्राहक होंगे, मैं उनसे कहूंगी ना कि फूल खरीद लो, फलानी चीज खरीद लो, ये अच्छे फूल हैं, ये प्यारे फूल हैं, मैं अपना पूरा कोशिश करूंगी. एंड शी वाज डूइंग द सेम. बट दिस पर्सन हु वाज नोटिंग, दिस वाज एक्चुअली पिकरिंग, और एलाइजा को लगता है कि पुलिस जो है वो नोट कर रही है कि शी इज डूइंग समथिंग रॉन्ग. So she was scared that she may be punished because of her social status, because of her financial status. She was second guessing her own action. अब इस एक्शन में कोई भी गलत बात नहीं थी. अगर आपने किसी चार्ट का, फूलों का, कपड़ों का ठेला लगाया है तो आप आवाज तो लगाओगे ना कि आओ मुझसे खरीद लो, मेरे से ये खरीद लो. तो वो she started second guessing herself because she got scared that she might be punished for speaking to
मैम
someone from the upper class. The major problem was कि वो जिससे बात कर रही थी वो upper class से था. तो this segregation, this hesitation represents the void between upper and lower class. जी बेटे.
Ma'am, in our society, it's very common to us. Like, for example, if I belong to a middle class family, so I never ever could have a relation with a very elite class person. Either that person might be a girl or a boy. So in this play, if the Eliza belonged to an elite class, so why she has been cut by this Hagen? uh, only for only for learning language or something else?
Eliza is not from elite class. What have you been listening to? Eliza is a street girl. She actually sells flowers, बेटे. पहले आप तसल्ली से बैठ के स्टोरी दोबारा पढ़ें, then come to these, points. क्वेश्चन पूछना अच्छी बात है, लेकिन आई थिंक थोड़ा सा होमवर्क भी करना चाहिए ना. जस्ट बिकॉज समथिंग कम्स टू योर माइंड doesn't mean it needs to be spoken inappropriately in a wrong manner. Yeah, so it's
Ma'am,
important.
Eliza Doolittle is both are not same.
Eliza Doolittle is from elite class, bete.
Yes.
No, she's not. She's the woman who's selling flowers on the street, or जिसे Professor Higgins लेकर जाता है for um, an experiment into his lab. Eliza is not from elite class. She just goes into the elite class for experiment sake. उसको experiment
Oh.
करने के लिए वो लेके जाता है. The fact of the matter is, the truth of the matter is कि आप पहले बैठ के इसको दोबारा पढ़ना, उसके बाद ये analysis देखना तो थोड़ा बेहतर हो जाएगा. I am recording this as well. आप बेशक recording दोबारा सुन लीजिएगा, ठीक है? आगे देखिए, all this symbolizes that the people from lower class do not have the right even to speak to the people from our upper classes. Why? Look at this textual evidence. I ain't done nothing wrong by speaking to the gentleman. ये page 11 पे वो line कहती है, which represents that she is scared and she knows that she can be held accountable, but she says in her defense that she hasn't done anything wrong. She's just trying to sell her flowers to this young man, to this gentleman. और वो अपने आप को डिफेंड करती है. शी ब्रेक्स दिस शेल. सो शी इज अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ अ स्ट्रगलिंग क्लास जो कि हमेशा इन सारे प्रॉब्लम से गुजरती है. शी डिफेंड्स हर एक्शंस एंड देन एक्सेट्रा. इसी तरह से इस तरह से टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस हो रहे हैं. आप मुझसे अक्सर पूछते हैं, सम ऑफ यू ऑलवेज आस्क हाउ टू डू टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस. दिस इज हाउ यू राइट टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस. अब ये एक रिसर्च आर्टिकल है, इसलिए उन्होंने यहाँ पर स्पेस छोड़ा हुआ है. देयर इज नो नीड. आप टेक्स्ट यहीं से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. आप एक बात लिखें, एक क्लेम लिखें और उसके साथ टेक्स्ट का पेज नंबर दें और उसके बाद आगे चलते चले जाएं. तो दिस इज हाउ यू गो अबाउट टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस एंड दैट इज व्हाट दिस आर्टिकल टॉक्स अबाउट. तो ये आपने पढ़ लेना है. इफ देयर इज समथिंग डिफिकल्ट इन इट तो आप मुझसे नेक्स्ट क्लास में पूछ सकते हैं. एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली आप आज आपकी ऑन कैंपस क्लास, आई डोंट नो व्हाई इट गॉट कैंसल्ड. इट वेंट टू ऑनलाइन मोड. सो आपकी जो आज की जिनकी प्रेजेंटेशंस थी वो अगली डेट पे चली जाएंगी. डेट मैंने आपको बता दी होगी, लेकिन कल जिनकी प्रेजेंटेशंस स्केड्यूल थी वो कल ही होंगी. तो कम प्रिपेयर्ड and all of you are requested to bring your submission, the hard copy that you are supposed to submit today. कल आप ले आइएगा so that I can evaluate it. ठीक है, और इसको भी पढ़ लीजिएगा. if you have any questions then you may ask, ताकि आपको बताया जा सके, आपकी हेल्प की जा सके. ये बहुत अच्छा आर्टिकल है. ये आपको, अब देखिए कंक्लूजन में बड़ा अच्छी है. ये एक बात मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगी कि दिस इज हाउ यू कंक्लूड. पहले आप टेक्सचुअल एविडेंस दोगे, देन यू कैन राइट all the textual evidences taken from the player and analyzed and etc. reveal the class struggle emerges from class conflict that leads to identity formation and dissolvement as well. तो इस तरह से आप एंडिंग भी लिख सकते हैं. तो अगर आप रिसर्च आर्टिकल्स पढ़ें तो आपको एकेडमिक राइटिंग लिखनी थोड़ी बहुत और एनालिसिस करना आ सकता है. ठीक है, इसके अलावा जो आर्टिकल मैंने आपसे अभी, जो दूसरा आर्टिकल आपने देखा था वो भी आपको समझ आ गया होगा. तो ये दो आर्टिकल आप पढ़ लेंगे तो यही दो में जो मेजर बात हो रही है, क्लास स्ट्रगल, क्लास वैल्यूज, आइडेंटिटी फॉर्मेशन, द segregation of two classes, upper classes versus lower classes and middle class, the treatment of middle class, ये सारे जो perspectives हैं यही आपने इस ड्रामा में फोकस करें.
Ma'am,
जी.
ma'am, at the last of your conversation, you were talking about some two. At that time, unluckily, your voice was distorting, and I couldn't be able to hear you. Can you repeat it again, please?
I can't because I don't remember what you're referring to, but I can give you the recording. You can listen to it.
No, ma'am, you're talking about some two PDFs or two what, I don't know.
You always know nothing. अच्छा खैर, मैं आपको आपकी क्लास दिखाती हूँ. if you look at the screen, please pay attention. This is your class. Okay, this is section B. This is your class. ठीक है, section A आ गया. इसमें आप क्लास वर्क में जाओगे बेटे. ये देखो पिग्मेलियन का एक सेक्शन बना हुआ है. ठीक है, आप देख सकती हैं. नजर आ रहा है बेटी आपको? कैन यू सी इट?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है, अब आपको नजर आ रहा होगा तो इसमें आर्टिकल्स, यानी देखिए मैंने आपकी जो अरेंजमेंट क्लास की हुई है वो अगर इफ यू टेक अ लुक, इट्स मेड अकॉर्डिंग टू द प्लेस। वेटिंग फॉर गॉडो के मुताबिक रिगार्डिंग कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन है, फिर पिग्मेलियन की ये आर्टिकल्स है। मैं आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट दीज आर्टिकल्स जो अभी मैं आपसे डिस्कस कर रही थी। ठीक है, दिस वन एंड दिस वन, ये पढ़ लेंगे तो आपको काफी हद तक समझ आ जाएगा। सप्लीमेंट्री रीडिंग के लिए कुछ और भी ऐड किया हुआ है, जेंडर रोल्स को ऐड किया हुआ है, आप पढ़ सकते हैं। ठीक है, और ये ओरिजिनल टेक्स्ट है, अगर कभी टाइम मिले तो वो भी देख सकते हैं। और रियलिज्म कैसे इसमें बताया जा रहा है वो है। तो ये कुछ आर्टिकल्स हैं, यहाँ से आप पढ़ लोगे तो यूल अंडरस्टैंड। ओके जी, आई विल सी यू टुमारो। अल्लाह हाफिज। टेक, अच्छा आपकी जो अटेंडेंस है वो मैंने शुरू में ले ली थी, ठीक है, ओके जी, अल्लाह हाफिज।